The regular meeting of the Aurora City Council is called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mayor Coffey.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston. Councilmember Bergen.
Here.
Councilmember Berzins.
Here.
Councilmember Coombs.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner. Here. Councilmember Gruber.
Here.
Councilmember Hiltz. Councilmember Lawson.
Here.
Councilmember Marcano.
Present.
Councilmember Murillo.
Present.
Okay, everyone's here but Mayor Pro Tem Johnston and Councilmember Hiltz.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for retired Aurora fire medic Paul Carey, who served for 32 years on the Aurora Fire Department and served in various capacities after retiring in 2010 in different ambulance companies, and then stepped up to go to New York City at age 66 to help in one of the hottest spots in the United States in terms of the COVID crisis, and contacted the disease, helping others, and passed away. And Councilmember Gardner and myself were at the Denver International Airport last night when his body was flown in, escorted by New York City firefighters, and it was a very moving tribute to a hero and his family. And let us have a moment of silence in memory of our fire medic, Paul Carey. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States
of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice
for all.
Two proclamations. The first one is honoring Gordy Bannister Sr., wife of of the late husband of Dr. Barbara Shannon Bannister. Whereas on behalf of the city of Aurora, Colorado, I wish to record our deep sorrow over the passing of Mr. Gordy Bannister Sr. on April 6, 2020. And whereas Mr. Bannister was born in Louisiana in 1931 and graduated valedictorian of Booker T. Washington High School in New Orleans, after returning from a tour of duty in the United States Air Force in Germany, Mr. Bannister, along with his wife Barbara, moved west to Casper, Wyoming, where they started a family. It was in Wyoming that Gordy began his work as a community advocate, and whereas after relocating to the Aurora area in 1977, Mr. Bannister became actively involved in a number of leadership positions with local community groups and organizations. He was a founding member of the Aurora Key Community Response Team, served as the first president of the Aurora NAACP, and was a community ambassador during a papal visit to Aurora during World Youth Day. And whereas Mr. Bannister would go on to become a lifelong public servant whose never-ending fight to advance equality for all led him to become the Equal Opportunity Officer for the state of Colorado. And whereas whether Mr. Bannister was working to advance equality or quietly doing good deeds in the community, he touched thousands of lives and helped to positively shape the future of Aurora. His selflessness and courage in the face of adversity, particularly when he first began championing equality in the 1960s and 70s, remind us all to use our voices for change and to help build a stronger, more accepting community for everyone. And now, therefore, I, Mike Coffin, Mayor of the City of Aurora, on behalf of City Council, extend to his wife, Dr. Barbara Shannon Bannister, children and family, our sincere sympathy upon his passing and proclaim May 4th as Mr. Gordy Bannister Sr. Day, in recognition of Mr. Bannister's many contributions to our city and for his decades-long fight for equality, in witness whereof I hereto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Aurora, Colorado to be affixed this 4th day of May 2020. Mike Hoffman, Mayor, Aurora, Colorado. The next is for Pastor Milton N. Thomas Sr. Whereas Pastor Milton N. Thomas Sr. was a beloved pastor, husband, father, grandfather, organizer, community volunteer, and founder of Thomas Ministries, and whereas Pastor Thomas was born in Lexington, Mississippi, the youngest of 13 children, and at 8 years old moved with his parents to Waterloo, Iowa, and was always proud of his heritage, culture, and civil rights upbringing, and held a Bachelor of Arts degree in Theology and Divinity from McKinley Theological Seminary in Jackson, Mississippi. And whereas Pastor Thomas was actively involved in a wide range of community groups and organizations, including Aurora Key Community Response Team, Shop with a Cop, Aurora Community of Faith, as well as other community, business, and religious organizations. And whereas Pastor Thomas had over 35 years experience as a pastor and used his talent to help organize job fairs, feed more than 5,000 people annually throughout Colorado, assist with disaster relief, facilitate clothing and toy drives, provide school supplies, and advocate for affordable housing. Whereas Pastor Thomas's life was dedicated to the best interests of the community, churches, police department, individuals, and all with him who came into contact. The city of Aurora, along with his many friends and family, are blessed to have known him and been a part of his life. Now, therefore, I, Mike Hoffman, Mayor of the city of Aurora, on behalf of City Council and members of the community, wish to recognize and honor the service of Pastor Milton N. Thomas Sr. and proclaim May 7th as Pastor Milton N. Thomas Sr. Day in recognition of Pastor Thomas's steadfast dedication to building a stronger and more caring community, and to express our heartfelt sympathy and gratitude to his family upon his passing. In witness whereof, I hereby set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Aurora, Colorado to be affixed this 4th day of May 2020. Mike Hoffman, Mayor, Aurora, Colorado. Public invited to be heard?
Yeah, Mayor, we have a handful of comments for general public invited to be heard, and we'll go ahead and read them. All right. So the first comment is from, it looks like Subha Tope. Dear Mayor, City Council, we know that we are going through trying times for the last several weeks, and we are yet to get to the finish line. While we have several challenges to face while trying to be responsible citizens and help our frontline workers to make things better, it would really help to have more aggressive testing in hotspots. Why are we not doing more testing in Colorado when compared to states like Utah and Wisconsin? Testing more would enable us to quarantine the right folks and less exposure to COVID-19 for vulnerable groups. It would also help better when the lockdown is relaxed. Are there plans to get more test kits? What steps are you taking when the government is trying to open up the lockdown? Thank you. And the next one is from Darlene Jones, and her comments are, Dear Aurora City Council, Mayor Kaufman, General Manager Jim Twombly, and Governor Jared Polis. I know everyone is worried about the economy, but our lives should be a priority. The coronavirus is the testing element for a cure regarding human life. I object businesses being opened early. We need to make it clear, even with small businesses open on May 1st, 2020, that all citizens should still not open their doors to receive goods or food. If so, face masks need to be worn. Arapahoe County is now listed as a hotspot for Colorado. Our numbers have gone down. We still have new confirmed cases and new deaths. Texas opened its state and now have more confirmed cases than like they did in the beginning. We are forgetting those who are asymptomatic and are carrying coronavirus without knowing they had it. I know a mother of 2 children who did not show signs. What she thought she had was nothing to worry about. I do not know how she got an antibody test, but that is when she found out that she had COVID-19. Her children have not been tested, nor her husband, but feel that she did pass it on to them. She is a student, so I can imagine how many others she passed it on to. This is one of the main reasons why Arapahoe County needs face masks mandatory for employees in supermarkets, transports, and small businesses, as well as for the public who enter those establishments. Not only testing will flatten the curve, but face masks will help diminish the coronavirus. When face masks are mandated, the numbers will go down, hospital beds and ventilators will not be needed, nor people will die from coronavirus. If citizens or employees do not abide by the face mask mandate order, other than a fine should be issued. Most cities in the USA, citizens are fined up to $1,000 for not wearing a face mask in public places. Germany is $5,000 and Korea is offering jail time. Sometimes you need A and B to work together to get excellent results. When South Korea mandated the face mask, their numbers went down. When China mandated face masks, their numbers diminished. We need to do this until there is a vaccine to prevent coronavirus. Who is going to get hurt by wearing a face mask? Answer, nobody. I hope that this council plus the mayor of Aurora will push the governor to mandate face masks in Arapahoe County. And then, I've been doing my stats so far since the opening of some states. 10 states have increased in their confirmed coronavirus cases. Some of the states decided to shut down their cities again. We need to think ahead of this coronavirus to get behind it. She also provided a link to a YouTube video, and we will forward that on. The next comment is from Marty Shea. Dear City Council, masks help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Why they are optimal in public places? Why are they optional in public places in Aurora? When I go out for essentials like food, my right to protect the lives of my family preempts the right of the indifferent to choose not to wear one. An exceptional situation requires exceptional measures. Please make masks mandatory in all public places in Aurora. All right, this one is from, Ronald Ernest Paul. Hello, I have a question for the City Council, but mostly for Mayor Kaufman, as he is the new leader of Aurora. 2/3 of the city's main revenue sources is comprised of people buying things. As we are all aware, COVID-19 has a detrimentally direct impact on consumer spending. Furthermore, the virus crisis has exposed existing underlying monetary problems for the U.S. economy as a whole. We have allowed China to manufacture everything for us, and we, individually and collectively, dig deeper into debt to keep up our GDP. That being said, the city of Aurora, along with the vast majority of municipalities and governmental entities across the U.S., are facing critical budget shortfalls. My question is this, and I would hope for a substantial and detailed answer instead of politically safe, we are working on options. What is the city's plan to balance the budget, yet still provide services for the citizens of Aurora? Thank you for your time. Next one is, and the last one for public invited to be heard, is from Michael Terry. To whom it may concern, below is my comments for tonight's Aurora City Council meeting. My name is Michael Terry. I live in the 5th Ward. I am the owner of Amorphous Bully Camp LLC. I wanted to reach out tonight on behalf of the End Aurora BSL group. We are wanting the council to know that we are still here and in support of one of the council's committee's recent actions in regards to the current BSL. The committee meeting back in March gave us an idea of the next steps in the process would be around May. I believe it was supposed to be going forward to study sessions or something along those lines. We would like to ask for an update on this current issue and its progression. I just hope the council will not allow this pandemic to cause the revisions to this issue to be forgotten or set on the back burner. These canines safely concerning current outdated Aurora City Ordinance should not be an issue that is forgotten. The responsibility of these animals' actions and how their owners should be being held responsible for said actions rather than the animals should not be forgotten. I hope the changes with the animal ordinance will be addressed sooner rather than later, as well as being made for a better living environment for all breeds to be welcome to Aurora, the city where people want to live. I do hope that each and every one of you on staff as well, and everyone out there in the city listening to this, is being safe and staying healthy. I wish you all the best in these times. However, I will continue the plea that you don't bully my bullies and open your hearts and minds to change. Mayor Kaufman, council members and staff, I think you and all of council would see many benefits of having an American bully as part of the household during these stay-at-home order days. If anyone would like to see how Aurora brings so much joy to my life, that's the dog, few days, please feel free to let me know. Aurora, pictured below, the American bully would love to come meet you and your families. Until next time, we are able to gather at the city's municipal building. I wish you all good luck and good night. And Mayor, that's the end of public invited to be heard.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda.
And Mayor, just real quick, we did have the wrong resolution attached to item 10C. We've worked with the staff on that. We're recommending, if there's no objections, that that item be postponed to the next meeting on the 18th.
Item number 10C.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Adoption of the agenda.
Mayor, move to adopt. Marcia?
Councilmember Burzins.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Burzins, seconded by Councilmember Gruber to adopt the agenda. Is there any
Oh, excuse me. Please finish this and then.
is there any opposition? Seeing none, the agenda is adopted. Councilmember Gruber.
Mayor, I believe we need to approve the minutes.
Okay, it's not. Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the minutes, April 6, 2020.
Mayor, move to the 2020 April 6th minute.
It's been moved by Councilmember Marcano, seconded by Councilmember Coombs to approve the minutes from April 6, 2020. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, the minutes for April 6, 2020 are approved.
Mayor, we do need a vote on these. I apologize. So, never mind, I'll take roll call on this one.
Okay.
Councilmember Burzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston. Mayor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
The minutes are approved unanimously.
Approval of the minutes for April 20th, 2020.
Mayor, move to approve minutes of April 20th.
Moved by Councilmember Gruber, seconded by Councilmember Bergen to approve the minutes of April 20th, 2020. Would clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen. Oh, sorry, I already called you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
Mayor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilmember Burzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
And Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
The minutes are approved unanimously.
Consent calendar, items number, consent calendar A through F.
Mayor.
Motion.
Councilmember Bergen. Oh, Councilmember Bergen.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve 9A through 9F with a waiver of reconsideration on 9E.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bergen, seconded by Councilmember Grover, to approve, to adopt item 9A.
9F.
9A, let's see, 9A, B, C, D, and F.
The waiver on 9E.
And with the waiver consideration on 9E, would clerk please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Burzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Mayor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
And Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Items 9A through F are approved.
We need to vote now. Would the clerk please read the title to item number 9G?
Yes, sir. All right, 9G. Consideration for an ordinance for adoption of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, amending Section 70-20 of the City Code of the City of Aurora, Colorado, for designation of the floodplain administrator.
Mayor?
Is it Councilmember Bergen? I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. Move
Oh,
to
Councilmember Berzins, I'm sorry.
Persons. I knew who you meant. Move to approve 9G.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Berzins, seconded by Councilmember Coombs to approve item number 9G. Call for the question. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, call for the question.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
9G is approved unanimously.
Will the clerk now please read the title to item number 9H?
Consideration for an ordinance for adoption of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, amending Section 66-34B relating to fireworks.
Motion. Motion.
Mayor?
Councilmember Coombs.
Move to approve 9H.
Second, Bergen.
It's been moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by Councilmember Bergen to approve item number. Oh boy, I'm in trouble now. Item number 9H. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, call for the question.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
9H is approved unanimously.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 10A?
Yes, sir. Consideration to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora requesting that Congress approves legislation extending economic relief help to undocumented immigrants affected by the current health crisis related to COVID-19. And Mayor, I do have one speaker signed up for this item.
Very well. Do we do that, or do we need a motion first? What's this first?
I would recommend getting a motion in a second first, and then we can
Okay.
have public comment.
Mayor, move to approve 10A.
Councilmember Coombs, moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by
Mayor, second.
Councilmember Marcano to approve item number 10A. So, let's see, would the clerk please read the comments?
Yes, sir. Okay, here it is. This is from Arnie Schultz. Dear Mayor Kaufman and council members Bergen, Berzins, Gardner, and Gruber, I am writing to you to request that you change your vote on the resolution to provide individuals with taxpayer identification numbers to be eligible for COVID-19 relief benefits. The resolution appears as agenda item 10A and for the May 4th, 2020 study session. One of the main reasons I'm requesting you vote in favor of the resolution is the fact that more than 1 million U.S. citizens have been blocked from receiving federal stimulus checks because they are married to immigrants who do not have Social Security numbers. In fact, of the 1.2 million Americans married to immigrants, only those who file joint tax returns are not in the military are ineligible for stimulus checks. By not supporting the resolution, you are likely doing harm to those U.S. citizens. As you know, the ITIN is a tax processing number issued by the Internal Revenue Service to ensure that people, including unauthorized immigrants, pay taxes even if they do not have a Social Security number and regardless of their immigration status. ITINs allow for the IRS to bring in billions of dollars the federal government otherwise would have no way of collecting. Those immigrants frequently take low-paying, physically challenging jobs in the U.S. citizens refuse to do for example, laborers and farm workers. There was a lawsuit filed on Friday, April 24th in a federal court in Chicago against the Trump administration, Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin and Mitch McConnell over claims that they were denied stimulus checks because they were married to unauthorized immigrants. On April 30th, a federal appeals court ruled President Donald Trump's Justice Department can't withhold federal grants from sanctuary cities such as Chicago that extend protections to undocumented immigrants Thursday. Judges extended that injunction against the Justice Department to governments across the U.S. that don't cooperate with immigration agents in trying to identify and possibly deport people who are in the U.S. illegally. I believe that these two lawsuits also give you reasons to vote in favor of the resolution. Thank you for considering this. That is it.
Discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Coombs.
Oh, Councilmember Marcon, you can go first.
No, Councilmember Coombs, after you.
Okay. I just would hope that once again, my colleagues consider that this is related to our current emergency and emergency measures, and that I have supported and will continue to support comprehensive immigration reform. But at this time, as Mr. Schultz mentioned in his comments, we have citizens not receiving stimulus as a result of excluding undocumented immigrants, but also that we have people who are doing the vital work to keep our society running and to keep us all fed. And should they become ill or need to take care of a sick family member, which is more likely because they are frontline workers, that it is to everyone's benefit that they be able to get the necessary support to stay home and keep themselves and others safe.
Councilmember Marcano.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to once again thank Councilmember Coombs for introducing this resolution and thank Arnie Schultz for his thoughtful comments. And I just want to echo to my colleagues who did not vote for this last time. This is not meant to be a statement on immigration. This is simply an extension of the benefits that all taxpayers are eligible for to folks who are paying taxes, whether or not they are documented. A lot of these folks, as Councilmember Coombs mentioned, our frontline workers. They are keeping us fed and keeping our pantries well stocked during this time. So I just please vote in favor of this. It sends a strong message to Congress, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 10A. With clerk, please call the question.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Councilmember Berzins.
No.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
No.
Councilmember Gruber.
No.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
No.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
We have a tie vote again on 10A. Mayor, would you like to vote to break the tie?
Point of order, it's not currently tied. It's 5 to
1, 2, 3, 4. You're right. I apologize. It's 5 yeses to 4 noes. Yes.
The mayor votes to make a tie. The mayor votes no.
Right. The mayor can vote to create a tie. Okay. So that means that it's 5 to 5, and it does result in a tie.
Would the clerk?
This is Dan. It not only results in a tie. This is the second time there has been a tie, so that matter is now dead.
Would the clerk please read the title of item number 10B?
Yes, sir. Consideration to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, condemning hate crime acts and anti-Asian sentiments against Asian Americans, immigrants, and refugees as related to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I do have a handful of speakers on this one as well, Mayor.
Motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilmember Murillo and seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Coombs. Would the clerk please read the public invited to be heard?
Yes, sir. Okay, the first one is from Fran Campbell. The anti-Asian bias, as defined in the draft resolution number 2020, has directly impacted Asian American Pacific Islander, AAPI-owned small businesses in Aurora. By the end of February 2020, AAPI small businesses, such as restaurants, markets, nail salons, etc., reported a noticeable decrease in patronage. Some restaurants reported a decrease of over 30 to 40%. This was before cases of COVID-19 were even counted in Colorado. Business owners point to the Asian Chinese paranoia, anti-Chinese Yelp reviews, and hateful comments made on social media as the cause of the decline. Now that businesses in Aurora are slowly reopening, AAPI owners will struggle with bringing back those customers influenced by anti-Asian panic. It is hoped that the resolution condemning the hate crimes and anti-Asian sentiments in Aurora will be an important statement of solidarity, a statement that supports not just AAPI individuals, but also AAPI small businesses. During the COVID-19 crisis, the Asian Chamber of Commerce has focused on gathering support for AAPI small businesses at the local, city, and state level. We're grateful for Aurora Council Member Crystal Murillo for sponsoring resolution number R2020 and for being an advocate for the Asian American Pacific Islander community. Next comment is from this one's from Stephanie Nahim. Good afternoon, Aurora City Council members. My name is Stephanie Nahim, and I am a patrol officer for the Aurora Police Department. I was also recently on the board of directors for Asian Pacific Development Center and the Aurora Mental Health Center. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. Today, I am speaking on behalf of the resolution to condemn hate crime acts and anti-Asian sentiments against Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, immigrants, and refugees as related to the COVID-19 pandemic. I would also like to credit Councilmember Murillo as the sponsor for this resolution. There's been a large shift in racism towards Asians locally and nationwide. Consequently, this has resulted in the increase in fear and anxiety among the Asian community. For the police department, the first step in combating hate crimes involves partnering with their community to instill trust. This can be done by acknowledging the volatile situation, increased hate crimes, and reassuring the community that they have the police department's support. The Aurora Police Department has already taken the initial steps, which includes a YouTube video from Chief Olson, Officer Chung, and me. The video encourages community members to make a police report if they or someone they know are a victim of a hate crime. In Colorado, there have been several reports of verbal attacks with racial slurs and spitting. A couple of examples from citizens of Aurora who wish to remain anonymous included a Japanese-American male who stated a few weeks ago, a man pulled up next to me in his car while I was walking my dog. People are disgusting. I was fearful because I had my kids with me, but he drove off quickly. The community is scared right now. This resolution is an important step towards encouraging our police or our community to come forward. For example, after only being released a couple of days ago, Aurora's police aforementioned YouTube video has been shared over 130 times already. Feedback from the community on the department's simple recognition of hate crimes against Asian and support for the victims was overwhelmingly positive. Passing the resolution could be a catalyst for a chain reaction. With this resolution, the city confirms their support for the Asian community. This support will in turn encourage victims of hate crimes to come forward. Thus, more reports will provide the police department a foundation to pursue justice and hands-on support for the victims. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email. Next comment. And this one is from Gigi Degala. And members of the council. Let's see. Maganadang Gavi Pro, good evening. I am Gigi Degala, board chair for Asian Pacific Development Center and a resident of Aurora. May I share some headlines with you? Man stabs Asian American 2-year-old child and family. He thought they were spreading coronavirus. CBS News, bullies attack Asian American teen, accusing him of having coronavirus. CUN shoots medical campus, stigma and discrimination against Asian Americans on the rise. Aurora Sentinel, metro area minorities get a double dose of strife with COVID-19 crisis. FBI warns of potential surge in hate crimes against Asian Americans amid coronavirus. For me, Our Asian American community is suffering with two viruses, the coronavirus itself and the virus of xenophobia. Along with this tremendous fear of the virus itself, there is also anxiety that I and my family could become one of these headlines. I'm always grateful living here in Aurora. Although prejudice have happened and can happen anywhere, this is my first time where I'm actually afraid. I wonder how I would defend myself. Is today going to be the day? Maintaining extra distance while walking, fears about sharing elevators, comments about food that Asians eat, someone being told to go back to China, or being blamed for bringing the virus, being spit at, verbally abused, or worse, being physically assaulted. A young woman in New York City had to go to the hospital after she was allegedly punched in the face by attackers invoking anti-Asian slurs. These are stories we do not want to hear, but these are stories we need to listen. Thank you, Councilmember Murillo, for sponsoring this resolution. I urge the rest of you, the council, to please be our allies in preventing racially biased harassment and violence against a community who is impacted by COVID-19 just like everybody else. We all could not afford to be indifferent or worse, to remain silent. Remaining silent could be seen as giving consent for these harassments, intimidation, and racism to happen. By passing this resolution, the council will lead the community in not becoming a silent witness. You automatically liberate me and others from our own silence and will help us have the courage to say loud and clear, this is absolutely unacceptable, stop it. And the last comment is from Harry Budisi Harta. Dear City Council members, this letter is written in support of Resolution 2020-35, resolution to condemn hate acts and anti-Asian sentiments against Asian American immigrants and refugees as related to the COVID-19 pandemic. We ask you to support this resolution to send a message to the community that the City of Aurora is against all acts of hate crimes and that the community should not be afraid to file a report with the police department. Even prior to the outbreak of COVID-19 in the U.S., we've heard numerous instances of hate crimes and harassment against our community members. Many of these instances were not reported to the Aurora Police Department because of fear around interaction with law enforcement and immigration authorities. Ever since the outbreak of COVID-19 in Colorado, we have heard a dramatic increase in the hate crimes and harassment against our community on a national and local level. The Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council, A3PCON, has received over 1,100 reports of hate crimes in the first 2 weeks of launching their hate crimes hotlines. At a local level, our partner, Asian Avenue Magazine, has been receiving multiple reports of Asian community members being assaulted and harassed while they were out in public. We want to acknowledge the great work APD has done with issuing a statement of support and producing an educational video in multiple languages. We have a long history of collaboration with APT and will continue to work with them to combat hate crimes. We now ask the City of Aurora Council to step up and pass the resolution so that all of us can speak in one voice. The acts of hate crimes are not tolerated in the City of Aurora. And he is the Executive Director for the Asian Pacific Development Center. And that is the end of the public comment.
Mayor, can I speak?
I'm sorry. Discussion on item number 10B, the Murillo resolution. Councilmember Murillo.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to everybody, if you guys are listening in, for submitting your testimony. I think it's really important that we stand in solidarity with our communities, especially when they ask for it, right? And regardless, but in particular because we know that Aurora is a diverse community, and what we're seeing, even though I don't believe any of us identify as Asian American, we're hearing from community that they are being impacted and targeted by this hateful rhetoric, and that has no place here. And I think we sent a message to our community members that this is not okay. It starts with the microaggressive behaviors, right? It's those subtle things that make it know that you're not welcome and that you should be scared. And what we're trying to do is prevent that from escalating, right? We don't want something as terrible as some of those headlines to happen to members of our community. And so, I urge my colleagues to support this resolution. I know we have had discussions in the past about the effectiveness of resolutions, but I also say that this is a message for our community, and I think we need to be unified on this front, and in condemning hate crimes. I also want to point out that in conjunction with this resolution, I've been helping triangulate kind of back end and front end. And what I mean by that is, I've been working with the APD, Police Chief Wilson, as one of the main stakeholders in kind of internally working through, a point person that would be responsible for making these calls so that we're making it as efficient and easy for folks to report hate crimes. As you know, APD has a directive against bias-motivated crimes that was authorized in 2015 by then Police Chief Metz. But it's important that we're documenting these things, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. Even if it doesn't amount to something, APD is going to do their best to build cases for our folks. This is the kind of data and information that we are encouraging that helps the FBI, for example, build cases on hate groups and where they are. That further protect our community long term. And so, again, I urge my colleagues to support this resolution. Again, we've done what we can to communicate to community, and this is in conjunction with actual practice and evolution of that practice in the midst of COVID. So I don't want to see any headlines, and I think it says a lot of the strength of this resolution, that it's folks from Aurora, it's the Asian Pacific Development Center, our nonprofit community, our direct service providers. I believe it was the Chamber of Commerce Asian Avenue magazine. So across industry and across leadership are asking for our support. And I think we really need to move forward with this. So I just ask for your support in passing this.
Further discussion on item number 10B.
Mayor Dave.
Councilmember Gruber.
A couple of things. First off, I want to thank Susie Zhang and the Chinese American Association. They gathered at the beginning stages of the crisis. They gathered thousands of masks and donated them to our homeless shelters and to the Salvation Army. I want to thank John Park and members of the Korean community that identified paths through their relationships in Korea for test equipment for testing the disease. I think many of you know that my wife is Asian, and so my kids are half Asian. I don't believe that harassment is proper not only to the Asian community but to anybody in the community. I don't believe anyone should have to deal with intimidation or harassment or hate speech or cursing. We saw a big incident of that yesterday in the Tollgate Plaza or Tollgate Crossing neighborhood, and I don't think that should happen anywhere in society. So again, I am going to support this, and I think it's important to support our Asian community.
Further questions? Further discussion? Councilmember Bergen.
Yes, I just want to say that, of course, I will be supporting this in spite of my comment in the past on resolutions. But this is important to show solidarity for our Asian community, and no one should have to deal with any kind of hate towards them.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of...
Marsha's raising her hand.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Bergen.
Thank you. I think I raised my hand just as you looked down. So I just wanted to say, yes, absolutely, I'm going to support this. And I was listening to the comments coming in, and I've worked with Gigi and Harry on the board of Aurora Mental Health, so I know them, and I appreciate them doing this. And like it's been said, no one should have to deal with hate crimes. That's just wrong, and no one should be scared living in Aurora, walking the streets. So absolutely, I'll support this. And those of you that know me on the resolution things, I don't like all those whereases at the top. I think about half of them we could eliminate or put them together. I'm just not a whereas kind of person, but I certainly do support Section 1 and Section 2 and Section 3 at the bottom of this resolution. honestly, I wish it would go a little bit farther and pertain to not only the Asian Americans and the Pacific Islanders, but talk about the Jewish people, the Muslim people, you know, what kind of job you have, your income level. Do you have an accent? I have a Southern accent. I get discriminated against too, I can tell you that. The political party, your skin color, your social standing, your education. I mean, we could go on and on. So I wish it had included more, but I want to say thank you to Councilmember Murillo and Johnston for working on this together, and you have my vote on it.
Is there further discussion on item number 10B?
Mayor.
Councilmember Murillo?
Thank you. Yes, that was me. I just wanted to thank everyone for their comments. I know, though I was a sponsor, you know, again, the point that I made earlier is that this was an ask from community, right? And so I definitely want to center their voices in this process. I did a lot of work of coordinating conversations, bringing in police chief, making sure that we're triangulating, but that, to me, that was the least that could happen. And that's something that we were already doing, and just kind of formalizing and bringing enough attention to this conversation, that yes, there are other people who are marginalized and impacted, in this conversation generally about, inequity, and targeting and hate crimes. Yes. But right now we're focusing on folks who, are having to deal with hateful rhetoric from our president, from you know, federal, from the top down. And so right now we're focusing on supporting and protecting them specifically. So thank you all for your comments. And again, not to center it around me and that work, it really is making sure that folks who are impacted or the conversation, help lead the conversation. They're the ones who reviewed the drafts, who gave any edits, who, you know, were on multiple phone calls and conversations to help organize and communicate, advise on the types of languages that were translated on that video, and potentially offering the translators for those videos. So in so many ways, it was community helping themselves, and we're helping them and supporting them in this really important way. So thank you all. You know, previous statements of one way or the other, but I think this means a lot.
Further discussion on item number 10B. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 10B. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor.
Yes.
We've got a motion. Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
And Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
10B is approved unanimously.
Item number 10C has been withdrawn. Would the clerk please read the title of item number 11A?
Yes, sir. Consideration of an ordinance for introduction of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, appropriating sums of money in addition to those appropriated in ordinances numbers 2018-56, 2019-17, and 2019-89 for the 2019 fiscal year. Here.
Motion, Councilmember Gruber.
Move to approve 11A.
It's been moved by Councilmember Gruber, seconded by Councilmember Bergen to approve item number 11A. Discussion. Seeing none, the question before us is
Apologies, Mayor.
Councilmember Coombs.
So I just wanted to clarify, I know we had asked for the breakdown of the cost of the protests, and I see that the protest in September is indicated as costing $323,000. of overtime. And so I don't know that we ever got a more detailed breakdown of how 1 4-hour stand results in $323,000 of overtime.
Mr. Hayes?
We can provide more information on that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 10A. Call for the question.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston. And what we're reading under this, I just want to clarify, this is for 11A, not 10A.
I'm sorry, 11A.
No worries, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Johnston, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, 11A? Yes? All right. Councilmember Bergen?
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner?
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo?
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins?
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson?
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano?
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs?
Yes.
11A is approved unanimously.
Clerk, please read the title of item number 11B.
Consideration of an ordinance for introduction of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, amending Chapters 6, 22, and 146 of the City Code related to the regulation and licensing of business related to the manufacturing of hemp.
Mayor.
Councilmember Berzins.
Thank you. Move to approve 11B.
It's been moved by Councilmember Berzins to approve 11B, seconded by Councilmember Gruber. Discussion? Seeing none, call for the question.
Councilmember Marcano?
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins?
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson?
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston?
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen?
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner?
Yes.
11B is approved unanimously.
Will the clerk please read the title of item number 11C?
Consideration of an ordinance for introduction of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, amending Chapter 94 of the City Code related to the unlawful sale, use, and possession of hemp.
Motion? Councilmember Berzins.
Thank you. Move to approve 11C.
Councilmember Berzins moves to approve 11C. It's seconded by
Councilmember Gruber.
and seconded by Councilmember Gruber. Discussion? Seeing Councilmember Murillo.
Thanks, Mayor. Was this item where we asked for follow-up on how other municipalities test for hemp? I think the conversation revolved around it being similar to marijuana in odor, I guess. And so we were going to, I guess, regulate it and impose laws similar to that, but that it didn't have the same effect. So that was one of the points of contention for me.
Staff have a response? Robin? Not here.
No, she was here. I think we're having a little problem with her microphone. Let us check one thing real quick. If you need, if not, I can get her on the line. Yes. Hold on one second. We'll see if I can get it.
You reached Robin. If you want to leave a message, leave it.
Her voicemail.
Okay, so much for technology. I'm sorry, is there staff can give a response? If not, is there further discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, sorry, this is Councilmember Marcano.
Councilmember McConnell.
Yeah, I was really hoping we could actually get a little more information on that, on what Councilmember Murillo brought up. I do have a lot of heartburn around making yet another thing illegal and perpetuating the stigma that is around marijuana, that has been around the use of marijuana for a long time. Yeah, I mean, I think we had asked for not just what the municipalities have done, but what specifically would what does our law enforcement really do around, let's say someone, I think the example was given when we were discussing this last time, bringing alcohol or smoking a joint at a football game. Like, how would you know if, a water bottle is actually full of vodka versus water? We don't make it, illegal to bring a bottle of water into a, sporting event or something like that just because it could potentially be alcohol. So I have a lot of concerns around, using a product that doesn't cause any secondary effects, that doesn't really impact anyone but you, out in public.
Okay. Further discussion or any responses by staff response?
Mayor, I do have Robin on the line now, so she can address that. Robin, go ahead.
Yes, hi, Mayor. I'm sorry I didn't hear the complete question.
Councilmember Marcano.
Sure. So I guess it's in two parts. Part one is echoing Councilmember Murillo's concern around what are other municipalities doing around hemp. How have they handled that? Have any allowed the use of hemp in public? And if so, how is that being regulated? And two, again, just a gripe about making yet something else illegal that actually isn't really harmful. This is the equivalent of, I guess, in terms of secondhand effect, smoking a cigarette. And, we're treating it like marijuana just because it might be difficult for law enforcement to discern the two. So I brought up the fact that you could be drinking vodka or some other clear alcohol out of a water bottle. How do our law enforcement officers basically investigate that? And could we instead, treat it in that same fashion where you can, bring a clear liquid into a space, you can bring hemp into a space, but if it's determined that it's marijuana, then of course you're breaking the law, right? Because that does have secondary effects to people around you. So could we get a little bit of guidance there?
This is Robin. As far as the other cities or municipalities that are looking into this, no one has proposed this. We are the first community to address this by trying to pass a prohibition on it. The city of Boulder does have a field testing kit, and I believe it was in the continuation page that they do have. According to the narcotics division, they're not using it, but there is a police officer that is attached to the marijuana section that did bring these tests forward. I wasn't able to get any stats from her at this time. Our APD has weighed in, and they are going to purchase some of these, and they're going to use them, but they're also going to compare this to a lab test to see how consistent and how correct they are.
Okay.
So as far as what we would plan on doing, but the other cities, like I said, Boulder's the only one that I know of. The others, I have not heard anything. They have not addressed the smoking in public.
Okay. Yes, Mayor. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
Please proceed. Councilmember McConnell.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. All right. So is it then possible to introduce a motion to table this discussion until we verify that those kits are actually, trustworthy? And maybe then discuss that as a possible tool to discern between the two?
There's a motion. I'll second it.
Sure. Motion to table item number 11C by Councilmember Marcano, seconded by Councilmember Gruber. Discussion? Seeing none, call for the question.
Okay, on tabling the item. Councilmember Berzins.
No.
Councilmember Hills. Oh, sorry, she's not here. Councilmember Lawson.
She's muted.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
She already voted.
She already
Oh,
voted.
sorry. Excuse no. Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Yeah, you already voted. And then Councilmember Gardner.
No.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
And Mayor Kaufman.
Well, is it a tie?
No.
Or to make a tie? Otherwise, I don't vote.
I'll yield to Dan on this one. This is a motion to table. Dan, is the
Oh,
mayor?
so much, I do vote. Okay, I vote yes. Mayor votes yes.
Okay. The motion passes with council members Berzins and Gardner voting no.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 12A?
Yes, sir. Consideration of an ordinance for adoption of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, amending Section 130-160, 130-161, and 130-196 of the City Code related to the special taxes on the sale of retail marijuana and retail marijuana products.
Motion.
Mayor,
Councilmember Lawson.
Mayor, I move to approve 12A for final passage.
Been moved by Councilmember
Second.
Lawson, seconded by Councilmember Coombs to approve item number 12A for final passage. Discussion.
Mayor, can I just make a comment?
Councilmember Lawson.
I want to thank all of those who did support it in the first reading. I'm hoping that maybe I might get a little bit more support. This is to actually backfill these programs, which I think is essential in our community, and also support our law enforcement officers. So I just wanted to say that. So thank you.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 12A. Call for the question.
Yes, sir. All right. Councilmember Berzins.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
No.
Councilmember Gardner.
No.
Councilmember Gruber.
No.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
And that results in a 5-4 tie with Councilmembers Bergen, Berzins, Gardner, and Gruber voting no.
Mayor votes yes.
Not tie.
Not tie.
5-4. Mayor votes
Oh,
yes.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 13A?
Yes. Reconsideration of Resolution 2020-22, review of the powers granted to the city manager by Resolution 2020-22. The powers granted to the city manager, which are set forth in the disaster declaration, shall remain in place until a majority of council votes to end the declaration.
Motion.
Move to continue the disaster declaration.
Been moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston to approve item number 13A. Discussion. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just say that it did sign another order last week, strongly encouraging that businesses are strongly encouraging everyone to wear face coverings as they go in public indoor places. So that came under the disaster declaration. I would say that there will also be opportunities as we reopen where that disaster declaration powers granted to be under that may be used. I appreciate the extension of that order.
Further discussion? Seeing none, call for the question on item number 13A.
Councilmember Modio.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Coons.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
The resolution passes unanimously.
Would the clerk now please read the title of item number 13B?
Yes, Murphy Creek East Planning Approval Call Up. And Mayor, I do have a few speakers that have submitted comments for this item as well.
Very well. Motion? Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Yes, I move to call up the Murphy Creek East proposal.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, seconded by seconded by Councilmember McConnell to approve item number 13B. Discussion?
Mayor, definitely can read the public comments at this point if you would like.
Oh, please, yeah, please proceed.
Okay, the first one came from Arnie Schultz. However, I could not open the attachment, so I've asked him to resubmit it, and we will forward that on if I do receive that. The second one is from Maggie Rash. Good evening. My name is Margaret Rash, and I am Vice President of Murphy Creek Metro District 3, as well as the Vice President of Murphy Creek Master HOA, representing 1,191 households in Murphy Creek. I am asking you to vote in favor of a call-up of the Murphy Creek East application so the public hearing can be held. Murphy Creek's Metro District worked with MEGC neighbors and the Mile High Flood District for a satisfactory resolution on the drainage issues. As the Master HOA Architectural Committee rep, the HOA has also followed this proposed development. Although a satisfactory resolution has been reached for filing 2, based on the documents uploaded to the city's development review website, there are still a few outstanding concerns regarding filing 1. The city asked the applicant to provide a letter from the villages at Murphy Creek ownership teams authorizing modifications to the basin boundaries and peak flow rates and acknowledging responsibility for any future changes in density or use that result in an increase of flows. The responses from the applicant on April 28, 2020 states, the aforementioned letter has been incorporated into the MUS Master Utility Study on page 87. After reviewing the documents on the development website, the Master Utility Study has not been uploaded. Therefore, we do not know if this letter has been provided or not. This is important to us as it could have future financial impacts for us. Maintenance of the channel improvements for filing 2 have been accepted by Mile High Flood District, but not the drainage infrastructure improvements described in filing 1 are interim in nature and are therefore not accepted for maintenance by Mile High Flood District. This cause is concern for Metro District as this drainage will connect with the drainage in our Metro District north of Jewel, and we won't have any assurances that it will be constructed adequately to eliminate any danger of flooding or overtaxing our existing drainage infrastructure. Any problems could have future financial impacts for us. On behalf of our 1,191 households, I ask you to vote in favor of a call-up so that these issues can be addressed and resolved at a public hearing. Next comment is from Bonnie Rader. We are Bonnie Rader, and I am chairman of the Lowry Landfill Super Fund Citizens Advisory Group, and Thomas Kraus, MD, co-chair of the Lowry Landfill Superfund Site Citizens Advisory Group. On behalf of the CAG board, I'm asking you to vote in favor of a call-up of the Murphy Creek East application so that a public hearing can be held. At the last council member meeting, Councilmember Bergen was very concerned about a call-up needing new information. She also wanted to call these applications up last year based on the new environmental information. The CAG was certainly in favor of that, but the call-up never took place as the applicant withdrew the applications. He has now resubmitted them, and we agree with Councilmember Bergen that new environmental information should be discussed at a public hearing. Since last year, there is even more new environmental information available, and we believe it would benefit both the city and the developer to discuss it, and we thank Councilmember Bergen for bringing this up. Mayor Kaufman, you showed your early support of the CAG by sending representatives to the initial CAG meetings, and we hope you are still supportive of our efforts. We also hope that you will stop allowing the city of Denver to pollute Aurora neighborhoods. Our CAG urges you to vote in favor of the Murphy Creek East call-up so that the new environmental information can be reviewed during the public hearing. Thank you. And last one is from Margaret Sobey. Good evening. My name is Margie Sobey, and I'm president of the MCGC Neighbors, the Neighborhood Association in Murphy Creek. When you voted on this item at the last council meeting, it sounded as though you were voting on the project and not the call-up. Tonight, I am asking you to actually vote on the call-up and not the project. The call-up would allow the project to be decided at a public hearing. Although there are several reasons to have a public hearing, in my 3-minute time allotment, I will discuss the main reason why MCGC Neighbors is requesting a public hearing. It is because we do not believe that these applications, particularly the FDP amendment, were complete prior to the administrative decision being made. That goes against the requirements of UDO section 5.3.5, which indicates that applications must be completed before they are reviewed for compliance, and that a completed application is one that contains all information and materials required by the planning department and the UDO. On January 16, 2020, the case manager sent the second submission review to the applicant and included the following statement. Since several important issues still remain, you will need to make another submission. On February 7th, several files were uploaded to the website, but they did not address all the issues that were required of the third submission. I understand that technical issues are minor and can be approved by staff. However, important issues must be addressed with actual submissions that require formal review by planning and then responses by the applicant. That is what was requested by planning on January 16th and should have resulted in a complete third submission by the applicant, a review by planning, and responses from the applicant, all of which should have occurred before the final minor issues were addressed with a technical submission. But that did not happen until April 22nd, almost a full month after the administrative decisions were made. A review of the third submission was finally made, and a request for a technical submission to address minor issues was requested at that time. The applicant then responded to the third submission review comments on April 28th. To our neighborhood, this proves that the administrative decision was made prior to the application being complete. And again, this violates the provisions of UDO section 5.3.5. When you vote on this call-up issue tonight, I ask you to vote in favor of the call-up so that proper city procedures will be followed. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. That's all I have, Mayor.
Discussion?
Mayor?
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. I just want to say, while I agree with everything that all of my constituents discussed, focusing on their concerns, is again, I want to just bring it back, as Ms. Sobey said, is that this is an issue due to the extreme interest of neighbors in the issue in the area of Murphy Creek to call it up, to have a public hearing, to get the details, and from there, council can receive additional information on it. So asking again for that opportunity to just call this issue up so that neighbors have that opportunity.
Further discussion?
Mayor?
Councilmember Bergen.
Yes, there was a lot of public discussion on the developer in general when they had their first original plan. This particular application was approved by our staff because it met all code, all zoning requirements, all of our rules, and so it was administratively approved. And for the developers to have predictability in moving forward with our city, they need to know that if they follow the rules, that they're not going to be held up. And so I think for those reasons, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be voting for the call up.
Further discussion? Councilmember Gerber.
Mayor, there was a letter that council received from Brownstein, Hyatt, Barber, and Schreck that wasn't read. I thought it was going to be. If I could ask the clerk, do you have a copy of that? It was in our backup material.
Yes, yeah, and we didn't read it because it did get published with the agenda, but I'd be happy to read that.
Would you please read that?
Sure. Give me 1 second, Councilmember Gruber and Mayor Kaufman. I will pull that up for you guys.
I think it's page 186.
Yep.
Excuse me, point of order while our clerk is looking that up.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes, I just have a question with our city attorney. Since we usually don't read something from backup, we have the opportunity for public to be heard on an agenda item if they do that ahead of time. So I would just like to have the city attorney weigh in on that, because there is still also a privilege of having something included in backup, which the folks who testified today did not have that. So I'd like to have the city attorney weigh in on that appropriateness of having, since we've read that in backup, of having that also read.
Very well.
This is Dan. And the answer is, again, we traditionally don't read those issues. However, if a council member does a request, that's an appropriate request to have it read into the record.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mayor, with that, I will go ahead and read the letter.
Very well.
Dear Mr. Brotzman, this letter is sent on behalf of our client, Lennar Colorado LLC, the applicant for the development applications. All three development applications were administratively approved by the planning director of the city of Aurora on March 25th, 2020. We understand that on April 20th, 2020, at a regular council meeting, Mayor Pro Tem Johnston made a motion to call up the administrative approvals of the development applications. And then there's a parenthetical, the Murphy Creek administrative approvals or approvals, and that the motion failed by a tie vote of 5-5. We further understand that because the motion failed by virtue of a tie vote, the city intends to again place the motion to call up Murphy Creek administrative approvals on the agenda for the May 4th, 2020 regular council meeting. Finality of the Murphy Creek administrative approvals. Lennar opposes the placement of a motion to call up the Murphy Creek administrative approvals on any agenda for any future council meeting. Pursuant to section 5.3.11 of the Aurora Unified Development Ordinance, the UDO, the Murphy Creek administrative approvals are final. Section 5.3.11 of the UDO states that the city council may only call up development applications that have been approved administratively by the planning director if the motion to call up passes with a majority vote of all members of the city council. If the motion passes with a majority vote of all members of the city council, the application shall be brought before the city council as soon as practical following the date on which the decision was made for review and consideration in accordance with the criteria provided in this UDO. UDO section 5.3.11a. Here, the motion did not pass with a majority vote of all the members of the city council or with a majority vote of all members of the quorum. Therefore, the motion failed. The city charter is consistent with the UDO and confirms this result. Article 5, section 2 of the city charter states resolutions and motions shall require the affirmative vote of a majority of the members present. Therefore, under both section 5.3.11 of the UDO and Article 5, Section 2 of the city charter, the motion to call up Murphy Creek administrative approvals failed. The UDO states that when a motion to call up fails, as did the motion on April 20th, 2020, the decision made by the decision-making body is final. If the motion does not pass or the decision is not called up, the decision made by the individual or bodies listed in Table 5-2-1 is final. UDO Section 5.3.11d. The planning director is the decision maker listed in Table 5.2-1, and because the motion did not pass pursuant to both the UDO and the city charter, the Murphy Creek administrative approvals are final as of April 20th, 2020. Placing the Murphy Creek administrative approvals on a future city council agenda would thus be inconsistent with both the UDO and the charter. Failure of the April 20th, 2020 call-up motion. The fact that the motion to call up was defeated by a tie vote does not affect the finality of the Murphy Creek administrative approvals. We are aware that the rules of order procedure for the Aurora City Council council rules state that if any matter is defeated by reason of a tie vote, it shall be rescheduled for action at the next regularly scheduled city council meeting unless a motion to reschedule it to a different date is adopted. City Council Rule Section 6. However, by virtue of its location in Section F, Ordinances, Resolution Amendments, this rule does not expressly apply to call-up motions. Furthermore, this rule conflicts with the sections of the UDO quoted above that state that the planning director's decision becomes final when a motion to call up the decision does not pass. The City Council rules cannot amend a city ordinance or the city charter. The fact that the April 20th, 2020 motion to call up did not pass renders the Murphy Creek administrative approvals final pursuant to Section 5.3.11d of the UDO. UDO Rules of Construction, Section 1.6.1 of the UDO provides if two or more of the regulations in this UDO conflict with each other or conflict with other applicable laws or regulations of the city or conflict with applicable state or federal law, the stricter provision shall apply. However, the city charter defines the regulations of the city in such a way that excludes the city council rules. Whenever, and then quoting from the charter, whenever the term rules and regulations is used in the city code, it shall mean the whole or any part of rules and regulations adopted pursuant to the authority of a statute or ordinance governing the conduct of the public, including modifications or amendments thereto. And the personnel policies and procedures manual of the city, but shall not include executive orders or matters relating to exclusively to intra and interdepartmental management and procedure. City Charter, Article 1, Section 2. The city council rules are not designed to be rules and regulations governing the conduct of public, nor to be the personnel policies and procedures manual of the city. As the rules that describe city council procedure, the city council rules are instead much more analogous to matters relating to intra and interdepartmental management and procedure. Therefore, Section 1.6.1 of the UDO does not apply to conflicts between the UDO and the city council rules. The UDO was adopted by city council as a legislative matter and has the force of law. Compliance with the UDO is not discretionary, it's mandatory. The city council rules are adopted and revised from time to time by motion or otherwise and do not have the force of law. The city council rules may not supersede or amend the requirements of the UDO. In the event of a conflict or inconsistency between the UDO and the city council rules, the UDO must govern. Express language in the Murphy Creek administrative approvals. Finally, another motion to call up the Murphy Creek administrative approvals would be inconsistent with the language of the approvals themselves. The approvals each state the following as to their own effectiveness and finality. The decision shall become effective after the second city council meeting following notice of this decision to city council or April 20th, 2020. Prior to the effective date of this decision, the city council may move to consider the site plan and affirm, overrule, or modify this decision. The regular city council meeting on April 20th, 2020 was the second city council meeting following notice by planning department to Lennar and all other interested parties of the Murphy Creek administrative approvals. All of these parties were on notice that the Murphy Creek administrative approvals would become final on April 20th, 2020 if a call-up motion did not pass. Therefore, consideration of a motion to call up the Murphy Creek administrative approvals at the May 4th, 2020 regular council meeting would not only be at odds with the finality of the Murphy Creek administrative approvals pursuant to the UDO, but also inconsistent with the notice provided in the approvals themselves. We request that the city observe and respect the finality of the Murphy Creek administrative approvals and decline to place the Murphy Creek administrative approvals on any future city council agenda, as doing so would be in conflict of the requirements of the UDO and the city charter and with the language of the administrative approvals. Lennar reserves the right to pursue all of its available remedies. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, this is Dan. If
Yes,
I
Dan.
could, Dan Money has met with, Dan Money, who's our senior planning attorney, has met and discussed this with both the attorneys for the landowner and as well as the developer. He has a presentation here for you tonight. I believe Stephen has that. So if we could link in Dan and bring up his presentation, I believe that will respond to the letter that was just read.
And we do have Dan on the line, and my trustee sidekick is loading the presentation. Dan, can you hear us? Can we hear you? I'm seeing you're there. You may need to go to the top of your WebEx panel where it says communicate and make sure it says computer audio. And if not, I will give you a call and patch you in. Or go ahead.
Okay, I think I have it. Steve, am I on?
Dan, you're good to go. We've got your presentation all loaded, so just tell us when you want the next slide.
Okay, so I have spoken to both attorneys. Very cordial, and I knew the letter was coming. What the letter fails to have, if any of you have your rules, order and procedure in front of you, the preamble of it, the very first part of it gives the authority, and the authority is charter. So I thought it'd be easier to show a slide than to just discuss it. So City Council Rules of Order and Procedure Authorities and Charter, City Code and State Statute. Next slide, please. All right, so here is City Charter, Article 3, Section 8, Council. So the underlined part is something I underlined. The council shall prescribe rules of procedure to govern meetings. So, and the shall there is a must, it's a mandate, especially when this was done, when these were created, when the charter was created. Shall states that you must have rules of procedures, just like any board and commission would have a bylaw and so forth. A city council needs to have rules of procedures. Next slide. Code also, City Code, Section 2-32, gives the powers of council. So this should say powers of council here. What is underlined at the bottom? The council shall determine its own rules and procedures and orders of business and shall keep a journal of the proceedings. Again, it's shall. There is no wiggle room on creating procedures. And in this language directly mirrors the next slide, which is state code. So Colorado Revised Statutes. So now this states the exact same language. You have to create and go by rules, procedure, and order of business. Keep a journal of its proceedings again. The reason why I put both of them with the mirroring law is Aurora is obviously a home rule city, but also statutory cities have the exact same language. If we did not have language, more than likely we would have to follow state law, but we do have language in our charter. Next slide. Rules of order and procedures. So at the top, the preamble again, it states in accordance with Article 3, Section 8 of the City Charter, Aurora, Colorado, the following rules of order and procedures are hereby adopted. So it's adopted under the charter, so it does not need, it's adopted and it states that it will be amended from time to time. Unless it states it has to be amended by ordinance, it still has the weight of the charter behind it when it's amended. And then Section 6 talks about tie votes. In this states, if any matter is defeated, it doesn't make a difference what that matter is. And so if that matter is an ordinance, if that matter is a resolution, if that matter is a vote for a call-up, if it's defeated by a tie vote, it shall be rescheduled. And that's, again, a shall. It doesn't give any discretion. It doesn't say may be rescheduled or could be rescheduled. It says shall be rescheduled. Next slide. Charter code and statute, they all mandate. And when I say mandate, it's because of the shall language. Shall language, especially at the time of the charter, mandates that the action must be done. And then tonight's vote is not inconsistent with the UDO because there was no final vote. So even though it didn't get the affirmative vote, there was no final vote because under the rules that are backed by charter, it must return to city council. And then next slide. Conclusion, city acted appropriately in setting the motion for call-up to call up a development decision at tonight's regular council meeting due to the tie vote at the prior regular city council. Any questions?
Yes, this is Councilmember Bergen.
Yes.
So are you saying our UDO is incorrect?
No. So first of all, the UDO, there's a purpose section of the UDO, and UDO section 1.3 under purpose does state, this is 1.3.2, it states that it ensures that all development of the city is consistent with the spirit and intent of any other plans and policies adopted by city council. So the UDO is intended to be consistent with council rules. It's not meant to be inconsistent. And so when the call-up provision states that if the motion passes with a majority vote, the application shall be brought before. And if not, then it shall be considered final. However, one second, let me get the actual.
Doesn't the UDO say that a call-up must happen within a certain time frame, and that time frame is expired?
Okay, so actually no. The old code stated that. The new code actually has no time frame in it. However, it is putting a time frame. So what we would advise on the time frame, the old code had, it was the second city council meeting from the decision, and it was from the date you got the decision as the council. And so the new code is absent of that. We are putting that back in. And the reason why is if a decision by a lower body, meaning planning director, planning commission, were to be challenged under a 106, it has 28 days to be challenged. And so we want something within 28 days so that a developer and applicant knows if they challenge it or not. So the 2 council meeting rule is a good rule. It's just actually not in our UDO right now. It is absent of a time requirement, and that is in the next round of amendments to the UDO. We're going to put that back in.
Okay, well, thank you. I didn't realize it was no longer in the UDO. So the bottom line is you don't want to hold up someone's application in good faith when they've met administrative approval, and I guess that's why you need that time frame anyway.
Yeah, and what we're talking about here is somewhat multiple different things. And right now, tonight's real discussion legally is, does the council rules carry the weight of the charter or the backing of the charter? And I believe it does. I believe that the council rules that you guys proceed with have charter weight, code weight, and statute weight if you were ever able to, you had to compare it to state statute, carries the weight of all of that. So it has the backing of charter, and charter is obviously basically the constitution of the city, right? So the charter will overrule any ordinance out there, and the charter says you have to have rules. If you have to have rules, you're meant to follow them. That's my interpretation.
Further discussion.
Yeah.
Councilmember Gruber.
So bottom line, so at the end of your discussion, they agreed and said they weren't going to take us to court?
Oh, no. They can take us to court. I mean, pretty much anybody can take us to court. Whether or not they would win or whether or not they'd have merit is a whole different question. So if the developer feels like they put time and effort into a project and they don't like the decision, they can always do a 106 motion. But what that 106 motion would be to say, did you act arbitrary capricious? Now, if they were wanting to challenge it instead on the actual rule, then they would do it under, hey, your rule is unconstitutional in some form, and that's even a harder standard. That'd be beyond a reasonable doubt that they would have to prove that our code or rule or is wrong in the legal sense. So, but tonight is kind of a bigger question on whether or not you can rely on your rules of procedure to be correct in anything moving forward, and I believe you can.
Further discussion. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I think this really highlights the importance of a city attorney's office. Thank you, City Attorney Money and Brotzman, City Attorney Money, for your presentation. At the end of the day, I mean, attorneys interpret things that they want that is consistent with what might help their client. And while I know there is a lot of research into Lennar's attorneys on that letter, I'm thankful that our city attorney took the time to present our rules and provide some counter to that information and the other side. So thank you.
Councilmember Berzins.
Thank you. And I just wanted to point out that we did get another letter from another law firm today backing up the Brownstein letter, the Brownstein decision, what they said. This other law firm did. I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me. I would read it into the record. But using our council rules, and I do understand what Mr. Money said, but using our council rules, to me, creates a big instability to our builders, people that build our houses. And what do we just have, like a 45-minute presentation on how we need housing in Aurora and for all income levels? Because we can change the rules every meeting. we have a rules committee, and our rules committee can get together and say, hey, let's change it, get 6 votes. They're changed. If I was a builder and I saw a council that kept changing the rules, there's no way I would come to Aurora to build, to put in time and money. And I just think going by our rules committee, knowing that we can change it, all it takes is 6 votes. And where does that leave our builders who've invested time and millions of dollars? So I understand what you said, Mr. Money and Mr. Brodsman, but I'm just saying going by the council rules makes me very nervous, and I just don't think it's a very stable way to do housing business in Aurora.
Further discussion?
Yes, Mayor.
Councilmember Gerber.
Mr. Gerber's muted. That was actually me.
Oh.
Okay, Councilmember Gerber.
So there are 2 points. The first point is, to follow on with what Councilmember Pershing just say, the building community talks about 5 things that drive the cost of a building: land, labor, lumber, law, and I knew I was going to forget one, location. But what's happened in this case is that there's another variable, and the other variable is time. So the things that we're doing now are drawing out the time, the multiple approvals and so on. As has been stated before, this has come up. We've been dealing with this specific issue for a year and a half. They've had multiple meetings. The folks who wrote the letters didn't like the answer. But the one point that I wanted to ask the city manager about, the accusations were that the city planning department did a poor job, did not consider drainage, did not consider the landfill, they did not do their job well. The implication is that city planning is incompetent, and everybody just nodded their head. I work with these folks. I don't think they are, but I would like the city manager to talk about the quality and the process that they go through prior to evaluating an application like this. Is it a rough shot, or are they thorough? Do they do a good job, or do they need constant watching? So if I could pass that to the city manager.
Yes, council member, I'd just say that we have a professional planning department that has, obviously they worked on the UDO for several years. They know their responsibilities inside and out, and I think they checked all the boxes when they checked this application, just like when they review any other application.
So if I could follow up, do you have confidence that this application should have been approved?
The planning director signed off on it with an administrative approval, and I have confidence and faith that he did his job.
Thank you.
For further discussion?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mayor. Just waiting for you to get back into the screen. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really read those comments necessarily as disparaging city staff. I saw them more as, residents of our city who we all work for, and it includes our staff, wanting a chance to have a public hearing on this. And I think that, it's incumbent upon the ward council member definitely to call that up and represent her constituency. And I frankly don't see how having a public meeting is going to be so detrimental to a project that it will completely throw things out of whack and make it completely unaffordable or some other such thing. I mean, part of what we do is we represent our constituency as well. I've heard a whole lot about business, and what about the builders? That's true. That's a factor, and that's why we have great staff and a process. But part of that process is also the option to call things up on behalf of our constituency. So I think that, when we're talking about process, we need to ensure that we're also recognizing our responsibility to our constituency, and I am supportive of this call-up. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, for doing so.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the question.
Mayor Pro Tem, or Mayor Kaufman?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I'll be brief because Councilmember Marcano articulated a lot of my concerns. While I appreciate what was brought up about the timeliness of development and the certainty that may be needed, we really still, in that same breath, have to talk about the constituents and what they're asking and the neighbors. And to me, that is just as important, if not more, than the business side. They're the ones who voted for me, expected me to represent them, and when they didn't get a public hearing that they had been requesting, like I said last time, since November, it was really my obligation to ask for that and to do that once again tonight. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the question Councilmember Gruber.
I want to make sure that we understand what neighbors are. We're talking about a district that is across the street and down the road from the neighbors. So the neighbors aren't, it's not like they're side by side. There's a major thoroughfare that goes through. The people on one side of the road don't like what's being built on the other side of the road. They've been fighting it for a year and a half. Every comment that they've brought forward, every complaint as to why the landowner can't use the property that he owns in the way he wants to use it, and why the builder has to do it in the way the neighbors feel as opposed to the way the landowner feels is really what's at stake here. So we're talking different metro districts. We're talking different groups. There's and like I said, a major road. So this is more of a not in my backyard as opposed to a property rights issue.
Mayor
Pro Tem Johnson.
This project is called Murphy Creek East. We heard from residents from Murphy Creek where those same residents didn't have a problem with an administrative approval of a development that was adjacent to that. So they're not all the NIMBY, not in my backyard. There were some real concerns with the landfill and other issues that, again, I didn't want to get into tonight. It was just the call up. But I want to clarify that these are folks in the Murphy Creek East, whether they're in one metro district or another, they're still part of Murphy Creek and deserve to be considered neighbors and residents in that community.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 13B. Call for the questions.
Councilmember Bergen.
No.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Can I have a clarification, please? We're voting on the call-up, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
No.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
No.
Mayor Kaufman.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes, again.
Okay. Councilmember Marcano. Okay, I apologize for that. And Councilmember Berzins, I believe.
No.
No. Okay. Okay. And with that, we have a tie vote with Mayor Kaufman, Councilmember Bergen, Councilmember Berzins, Councilmember Gardner, and Councilmember Gruber voting no.
And again, this is a second time around with a tie vote, so the matter fails.
General business.
Mayor, this is Dan Brodsman. Sorry.
Yes.
I've got another procedural issue. Going back to 12A. 12A was an ordinance that passed 5-4. Ordinances require 6 votes to pass. Under the council rules, you have a member absent. So with a member absent, 12A will return to the next agenda to let you get a 6th vote, or if you don't get a 6th vote on an ordinance, it will die on that reading.
Very well. Thank you. Any general business? Reports, report by the mayor. Very hard to, this is just very difficult time for small business, particularly our local restaurants, and want to encourage everybody to take the mayor's challenge and to order takeout or delivery at least once a week and support our local restaurants. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Councilmember Coombs?
So first of all, may the 4th be with you, everyone. It's Star Wars Day, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. On a more serious note, yesterday, May 3rd, we had a situation where people were exercising their First Amendment rights peacefully and were attacked. They had their property damaged. People were assaulted, and they were threatened and cussed at by the very people who previously had said that cussing was very bad and not something they wanted their children to be exposed to. So I just want to make sure that we understand both, A, that peaceful protest is protected by our First Amendment rights, that people did demonstrate within the hours required by our residential ticketing ordinance, and that was met with violence. I want us to think about both the hypocrisy and the dangerousness of that happening in our city, and that happening while our police did not intervene to stop that. We apparently spent $233,000 to ensure safety at a protest at the end of last year. I wonder how much we spent this year when we were not, in fact, even able to ensure the safety and the protection of personal property of people peacefully demonstrating in our city.
Thank you. Councilmember Murillo?
Thanks, Mayor. Probably going to be hosting my May Town Hall virtually as well, just to be as safe as possible with the social distancing. So Thursday, May 21st at 6 p.m. Don't yet have a topic, but please tune in. It was broadcast on live, so that was kind of an interesting experience. I also wanted to echo the comments earlier made about Pastor Thomas. It was really sad to hear of the news of his passing. It hit me really hard. I remember I had just talked to him a couple weeks ago, right before the pandemic, and we were speaking about affordable housing. And as you guys know, that's really important to me. And he was a community pillar. And though we did not agree on everything, that I really respected his fierceness in protecting his community and being unapologetic. And I just want to echo my heartfelt condolences to his family, his loved ones. I'm so sorry that happened. And I do hope that when we enter whatever recovery looks like from this, that we honor his legacy and his pursuit in fighting for his project. He wanted to create a land trust to preserve the affordable housing units in Ward 1. And so I hope that that's something we are able to honor moving forward. But thank you for making those comments, Mayor.
Councilmember Marcano.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to let everyone know that our next town hall is going to be on May 21st, and I'm trying to set up digitally, through WebEx, and I'm trying to set up a presentation on public banking. So if you want to learn about what that looks like, what that is, what that could look like in Aurora, and how it could greatly benefit the future of our city, definitely be sure to attend. And I also want to echo Councilmember Coombs' statements. When folks are expressing their First Amendment rights, whether you agree with them or not, folks should be secure in their personal property and in their, bodily autonomy and safety as well. So we need to make sure that folks who did not step up and do the duty that they were sworn to do and witness these things happen are reprimanded, and that, free speech is preserved in our city. Thank you.
Councilmember Bergen.
Mayor, so to address some of the comments about the tollgate neighborhood or tollgate crossing neighborhood protest, that is in my ward. And again, this was the second time that there was a protest protesting, really targeting a particular individual in the toll gate crossing neighborhood, and that is Warden Choate for the GEO facility. And people can say it's not targeting, but it is, because when you put on social media that you're going to harass a particular individual and confront them in their neighborhood, to me, that is targeting. So, of course, you know, I did get emails. I got Facebook messages prior to the protest that people were very upset that this was going to happen again in their neighborhood. Now, it was not people walking this time. It was a car rally. So they went in their cars, and I believe there were about 100 cars going through the neighborhood, honking their horns, yelling obscenities at people. And whether you think it's no big deal, it is still frightening for something like that to happen in a neighborhood. Now, to address what Councilmember Coombs said, that people had their cars keyed and property damaged, those are allegations. And I think in America, we still are innocent until proven guilty. So I don't condone any of that behavior or any violence, but I don't know if that's actually true yet. So until there's police report filed and until our police can investigate that and prove those charges, we don't know. Again, I don't approve of that, but you know, we just had a resolution earlier this evening on hate crimes against people, and it's terrible to have somebody so hateful, or a group so hateful, that they're going to come into a neighborhood and intimidate people because they don't like the actions or the fact that someone is a warden in a detention center. Yes, everybody has a right to protest. That's our First Amendment right. No one's saying that they can't do that. It's just troubling, and I just wish, you know, that people would find another way to communicate their concerns. And it's again, if people think that's productive to go and intimidate people in the neighborhood, I don't think it is productive. And people did get upset, and it's just very hurtful that we have to have this happen. So anyway, what I was going to say for my report was that I am planning to have my town hall as it's scheduled for May 13th from 6 to 8 o'clock, if I can figure out how to do the virtual town hall on WebEx. So thank you.
Councilmember Lawson.
I have no report.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to follow up to what Mayor Kaufman mentioned at the beginning, the procession and ceremony for Aurora Fire Medic Paul Carey last night. I saw several council members along the route, and for those who didn't see it, it was a really beautiful ceremony. There was over 165 vehicles in the procession, and it was just really neat to see all the lights lit up and folks along the route with flags and just paying their respects to what Mr. Carey had done for our community. And I also want to say thank you to all the agencies across Colorado that showed up in support. There was fire trucks and ambulances from all over the place, including some out-of-state folks from New York. So that was really neat to see. And then, of course, Mayor Kaufman and retired Fire Chief Ray Barnes spoke at the ceremony amongst some other dignitaries, which was really good, I think, for the family to hear. So I appreciate all that. And then lastly, just want to mention today is International Firefighters Day. So while I'm appreciative of the job all of our first responders do, I want to say a special thanks to our firefighters today for the job they do serving on the front lines in our city.
Councilmember Gruber.
I'd certainly back that up. Watching the parade go by, the people who came to show their love, Councilmember Bergens and I were there watching, and to see Strasburg and Bennett and Byers and Northland and Thornton and North Metro and South Metro and just, you know, fire truck after fire truck, ambulance after ambulance, was an amazing show of love. And then that couldn't conflict more by, you know, what Councilmember Bergen was just talking about. That was a parade of hate. Everybody involved in that was showing hate with the cursing that was going on. The fact that we just voted on an ordinance to support the minority community, specifically the Asian community, we denounce intimidation, we denounce harassment, we denounce targeting. I couldn't imagine the uproar that would occur within the city if a parade of hate like that had occurred anywhere in Ward 1 or any of the immigrant communities. It wouldn't have been tolerated. I wouldn't have tolerated it. And yet we have people on council that are directly associated with the Denver Communists, Abolish ICE, and Colorado People's Alliance that actually hosted that. So I denounce that. I hope other people will denounce that as well. As far as my business goes, I want to announce that I have selected Chance Warushi to be my member on the Business Advisory Board. And I also want to bring out the fact that we've talked a lot about government programs. We've talked about how to best use the federal money that we're receiving from directly from the federal government, as well as from the counties, Arapahoe, Adams, and I guess we're going to get a little from Douglas, but how we use that going forward. But I want to point out, and I can't stress this enough, that the businesses are the ones that are going to lead us out of the funding crisis. The businesses are going to rehire people. The businesses are going to draw people back in. The businesses are going to attract customers. The businesses are going to keep the economy moving, and the businesses are going to pay the taxes that we need to provide support to those less fortunate. So as we begin to spin back up, let's focus on what we can do to make business happen, to get people their jobs back, and to get productivity going again, so that we can re-kick off the economy here in Aurora. Thank you.
Councilmember Burzes.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to say thank you to you, Mayor Kaufman, and to Councilmember Gardner for representing the Aurora Council last night at the service for Paul Carey, and my condolences to his family. He was loved. I remember, I've been around for a while. I remember him, and he was a very gentle, nice person. And he died like a hero. He was doing what he loved doing, and that's nice. And as Councilmember Gruber said, that procession was absolutely amazing. It was filled with love for him, for our first responders, and people were out, and it made me proud to be a citizen of Aurora, to respect our first responders. So I want to say thank you to all the first responders and anybody that had anything to do with that. You did an amazing job. Thank you to our firefighters, because it is National Firefighters Day. And also, while I'm giving out thanks, I want to thank Steve Ruger for his persistence tonight and for getting us through a tough time on our executive meetings when we got into a lot of technical problems. So thank you, Steve. We appreciate your knowledge of electronic things, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
I do want to tell the people of Ward 3 that the golf course, Aurora Hills Golf Course, is opening at 8 o'clock this Wednesday morning. So get your golf clubs out, dust them off. You can start playing golf Wednesday. Now, as far as the snack shop goes, the Tin Cup, that's still on hold for now, which leads me into our ward meeting is scheduled for the 16th at the Tin Cup. So as it stands right now, it's not going to be open for us to have our Ward 3 meeting at 7:30 in the morning. But, you know, if you stick around long enough, things will change. Keep your eye on my Facebook page, and if something changes, I will let you know. But as it stands right now, we cannot get in for our meeting. So just wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Public invited to be heard?
Mayor, we have none, but I do have one comment. I've been meaning to do this, and I apologize to Councilmember Bergen. I just wanted to state for the record that she has appointed Dustin Zvonek to CABC, and his first meeting will be tomorrow. So I just want to make sure we got that into the record.
Mayor.
Thank you, Steve.
Very good. Councilmember Bergen.
sorry, I want to just thank Steve for making that announcement.
Sure.
Okay, very well. Meeting is adjourned.
Wait, Mayor.
Councilmember Moreno.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that I also am reappointing my Business Advisory Board member. And just also it's Teacher Appreciation Week. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Bye.